I'm making a cheesecake because baked goods are the only thing that keeps my household occupied long enough for me to peacefully exist in the introverted asylum that is my room. Step beginning. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Then plug in a blender to make the crumbs for the cheesecake crust. I'm going with a 50% graham cracker and 50% digestive biscuit crust. If you're not British, then you probably have no clue as to what digestive biscuits are. They're basically a slightly sweet wheat cookie. You typically have them with a cup of tea. Anyways, once you've blitzed up a sufficient amount of digestives, add the digestive and graham cracker crumbs to a bowl. You can use just about any type of cookie or wafer for the crust, like ginger snaps, Oreos, those butter cookies that you find in your mom's sewing kit tin, Biscoffs, shortbread. Basically anything when crushed will have a crummy texture. You'll want 1.5 cups of cookie crumbs in the end. To that bowl, add 2 tablespoons of white granulated sugar, melt 4.5 tablespoons of butter, and add that to the bowl. Then mix until combined. Now at this point I realize that I ought to wear my glasses more often because I use the 3rd cup measure instead of the half cup. So add in some extra graham cracker crumbs. Then take out your baking tin. I don't have a fancy springform pan, so I managed with a recycled Marie Callender's pie tin from God knows when. Spread the crumb mixture along the tin, packing it down so that it forms an even layer. Due to the size of the tin, I had enough for a second cake. Then bake the crust for 9 minutes in a 350-degree oven or until golden brown. Meanwhile, to make the filling, place 2 pounds or 32 ounces of softened room temperature cream cheese into a large mixing bowl. Beat the cream cheese for a few minutes until it's smooth and lumpless. At this time, remove the crust from the oven and let cool completely. Then add 1 1/8 cup of white granulated sugar and beat until combined. Add in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Flour works too. This essentially helps the cake from cracking when baking. Then increase the oven's temperature to 425 degrees. Then in a smaller bowl, crack in 4 eggs and 1 egg yolk. You can move the egg shell to shell to separate the whites and yolk. Scramble the eggs with a knife because this is already going to be way too many dishes. Then gradually add the egg mixture to the filling little by little and mix until smooth. Now I know it looks like a gloopy yellow mess at the start, but trust in the process and the eggs will eventually emulsify. Next, add in half a cup of heavy cream. I only had whipping cream in hand, but if you're really in a pinch, milk will work too. But the lack of milk fat might alter the overall texture in the end. You can also use sour cream or Greek yogurt as a substitute. Then add in 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract or imitation if your videos are. Now say this with me, kids. Not monetized. I'm going for a New York style, so I'm adding the zest of a lemon as well as the juice of half of one. You could always put in your own add-ins at this point if you want to feel like you're at the Cheesecake Factory, because you can't really go right now. Orange zest and juice with some white chocolate maybe, peanut butter and chocolate chips, ground cinnamon, ground clove, ground nutmeg and some pumpkin puree, a nice fancy berry compote as a topping. You know, just get jiggy with it. Then mix everything till combined and smooth. Pour the filling on top of the crust, make sure everything is in a nice even layer, and then place them in the oven for 10 minutes at 425 degrees. Be good, my children. After the 10 minutes are up, decrease the temperature to 225 degrees and continue baking for another hour. Once the cake only has a slight jiggle to it, turn off the oven and crack the door open slightly and allow the cakes to cool for another hour. Then take them out to cool completely and refrigerate overnight. This will help prevent cracking as well as preserve a creamy texture. Now this is supposed to be the part where I cut into the cake and get that nice aesthetic shot of getting the first slice. But as you can see, it looks like somebody in my house has already indulged in the slice, even though I specifically asked them not to. Now if you'll excuse me, I've got some business to attend to. Oi! Oi, cheesecake! You can't have any.